Isn't it frustrating when sometimes you can swear you saw something happen, but it turns out it never actually did? Well, what if a vast majority of people also experienced it, but the reality was much farther from the truth? Well, guess what? You've just been bamboozled by the Mandela Effect. For those of you who don't know, the Mandela Effect is the phenomenon where a bunch of people very vividly remember an event happening a certain way, although it didn't. Is it a case of horrible memory? A glitch in the Matrix? Parallel universes colliding with each other? Or maybe aliens meddling with our world from afar? Not really. It's just a psychological phenomenon that happens more commonly than you think. Have a look at some of the cases and be prepared to question everything you've ever known. First, of course, we have the one case that gave this phenomenon its name. Nelson Mandela spent a lot of time in prison, and people also believed he died in jail back in the 80s. People claimed to clearly remember seeing the news on TV. Some even went as far to say that they had seen the funeral procession live on TV. But the truth is that Nelson Mandela died only some years ago in 2013 from an illness. He got out of jail alive and continued to fight for his cause, and that's what started it. This led to Fiona Broome, the one who coined the term, to wonder how so many people, including herself, so clearly remembered something so far from the truth. And so we ended up with this phenomenon. We've all played Monopoly and are very familiar with the Monopoly man whose real name is Rich Uncle Pennybags. He has his bright smile, sharp white mustache, cane and top hat, and a monocle, right? Except some of the details are wrong. You see, a lot of people remember the guy to have a monocle, probably because it gives off a Richie Rich kind of feeling. But the thing is, Uncle Pennybags never wore a monocle. Uncle Pennybags had great vision and doesn't need a monocle. But that doesn't stop a lot of us from erasing the memory of his monocle that is burnt into our heads. Pikachu is everyone's beloved electric mouse, blasting off Team Rocket and traveling with Ash and his friends throughout the Pokemon regions. His zigzag tail is probably one of his most distinguishable features, but most of us remember that its tip is black. But it turns out, it isn't. Yes, your childhood was a lie. Pikachu didn't have any black spots on his tail. His ears do have black tips, though, and that might be what caused this combined illusion of a black-tipped tail in the first place. So maybe your childhood wasn't all that much of a lie. Nothing feels better than waking up in the morning and enjoying a bowl of Froot Loops. Or was it Froot Loops with 2 O's? Guess we aren't even safe from our foods. Some people believe that the brand was originally named Froot Loops and was later changed to Froot Loops with 2 O's. But any box you buy will very clearly have the word fruit spelled with a double-printed O across the front. So how did all of us manage to confuse this one when it was right in front of our eyes? Truly mind-boggling, to say the least. Froot Loops isn't the only famous brand to have been misspelled by the collective masses. Our favorite cookies, the Oreos, have a case of their own. The deluxe version, which I'm sure most of us remember being double-stuffed Oreos, is not that at all. In fact, it's just double stuff with a single F. Again, right in our faces, yet we somehow never stop to think about it. But in this case, our brains probably filled in the missing letters, which ended up creating this false memory that many of us share now as a whole. The brain truly does work in mysterious ways and never really in our favor. So, flashback to 2005. All the emos and teens were jamming to the new hit Panic at the Disco song, I Write Sins, Not Tragedies. The lyrics are probably still fresh in most of our minds. But one line in particular is not what we remember it to be. It was first pointed out by a Twitter user that what we thought was closing the goddamn door was actually closing a goddamn door. Halsey took notice and tweeted to Brendan Urie to explain it, who was just as confused as the rest. He said he had no real explanation for it and said it was probably another case of the Mandela Effect. He further said that he remembers singing the line both ways. So maybe that's what led to the initial confusion. But it is quite interesting that even the original singer shared the same illusion as everyone else. It's not just lines from the songs, though. There are even famous movie lines that never existed at all. Take The Silence of the Lambs, for example. We all have seen people doing creepy impressions of Hannibal Lecter saying, "Hello, Clarice." But the thing is, he never says that. The original line from the movie is just him saying, "Good morning." Yet people clearly remember that the scene didn't go like that. Somehow our brains just collectively decided to replace the line entirely, and make it famous too. So how exactly is a non-existent line coincidentally the most well-known one? Maybe we just didn't pay attention to the movie. Probably the most famous example of mistaken movie lines is from a galaxy far, far away. The confrontation scene where Luke, who is under the impression that Darth Vader killed his father, finds out to his shock that Darth Vader himself is his father. Well, that didn't go as we all imagined it did. When confronted by Luke, Darth Vader says, "Luke, I am your father." But guess what? Darth Vader actually said, "No, I am your father." I think we're all just as shocked as Luke was to find out it was all a lie. The most famous line from the movie was different from what fans remembered it to be. Perhaps Darth Vader manipulated our memories somehow, or maybe it was some other aliens in a galaxy not so far away.
He told me you killed him.
No, I am your father.
It's not just movie lines that people remember wrong. There are cases of entire movies existing in people's minds, but not existing in reality. I think a lot of us remember a movie named Shazam, where Sinbad has a genie friend played by Shaquille O'Neal. But the thing is, Shaquille O'Neal has never appeared in any movie with that name. He did appear in one called Shazam, where he played the role of a rapping genie. But there was no Sinbad in that movie. So where did this illusion even come from? I guess the genie did it this time around. For our last one, we're going to look at the most recent case of the Mandela Effect. And just a heads up for people who haven't watched the movie Invincible yet, there are major spoilers ahead. Released on March 25th this year on Amazon, Invincible was an instant hit, receiving critical acclaim and praise for its top-notch animation, storyline, and performance. The most memorable scene from the show, and the most gruesome, is the final showdown between Mark and his father, Omni-Man. After Omni-Man slams an already beat-up Mark into a mountain, he goes on a monologue where he says, "Think, Mark, think." Memes were made about it, and it's been referenced many times. But do you want to know what's surprising? Omni-Man only says, "Think, Mark." Even though it's so recent, people already managed to collectively confuse the most famous line from the show.
Fighting so you can watch everyone around you die. Think, Mark. You'll outlast every fragile...
And that's the last one for now. Do you guys have an example of the Mandela Effect that you would like to share? Leave them down in the comments, and let's all collectively lose our minds over it. Till then, see you all later.